Good morning, and I think it's this is going to be the fourth training diary. I haven't actually got a plan today, which is very unlike me, but I kind of wanted to make this one a bit more chilled out, a bit less about intense schooling, like analysis. So I got like a rough idea. I'm definitely going to jump Jimmy today. I'll do something with Zen and Dazzle, most likely in the arena. I'm going to do like a shared session with my dad on Scandal. And Bella, I really haven't got a plan, but I think it will involve something to do with hacking. In general, the horses are going very well. I'm very pleased to see like the change of season because they're finally all starting to settle a bit more. I feel like I'm able to make a bit more progress with Dazzle than I had been during the winter. I just got to get him regulating his nervous system better. And it also means that finally we're coming towards competition season. So at the moment my life is very much about ramping up and prepping for that, which is very fun and very exciting, but also I got quite a lot to do still. It is going to be the first training vlog I've done actually, where I finally have all 5 horses home, feeling well and ready to get cracking. I think it's the first time in well over 2 months that all my horses have been, to an extent, in work. So fingers crossed. I'm not going to even say that, but yeah, let's keep it up, ponies. Here comes Scandal. Hello. What are you up to, sweetie? Yeah. Hello, hungry ponies. So Jimmy, Changa and I are going to help my mum jump Tommy first, and then we'll do some probably gymnastic, like there she is, some gymnastic grid work. Hey sweetie pie, try and slow him up a little bit because he's a little bit spicy after his break from jumping.
Tom's is giving no quarter whatsoever.
It's like the most low-key fight that's actually really aggressive. What's that noise?
Tom,
Not his
it's
throat.
most unlike you not to
He
be
got his
having a go
hair.
back.
Jimmy. So just while I give Jimmy a little warm up, my goal with grid work is to basically try and minimise human interference so that not only can the horses work on their technique, but they can also work on thinking about their footwork, thinking about needing to regulate their own speed and their stride length, and generally just operate a bit more independently from people. And you can see that as the complexity gets a little bit more tricky, Jimmy starts to have to think more, he starts to struggle more with his footwork, even though he's jumping nicely, and then that tends to result in him rushing a little bit, like here. And it's not a major issue, it's not something that I want to interfere with too much, but I have a few things I'll do. The first is this, and it's a really useful little exercise, where I'll circle the horse in front of the jump, and I'll keep circling until I feel the horse go, take a deep breath out, relax a bit, and stop feeling the need to rush into the jump. And then I'll let them go. I don't think it's quite perfect here. Oh no, it's not bad. The other thing I'll do is increase the difficulty quite a lot, which is exactly what I did this time. I put the V-poles on the oxer coming out, and I gave him 2 uprights in the bounce. And he's not very experienced with bounces, so it's a big step up for Jimmy. And you can see him just suddenly thinking, oh gosh, this is tricky. I've got to really think and figure out what to do with my feet and my striding coming out. And he was better that time, but you really start to see it after a couple of goes when he starts to feel confident in what he's doing, he clearly understands the question and he just starts to get it a bit better. So that was a nice improvement, and you can really see him having to work down that bounce. And here you really see he didn't get the best stride in, but boy does he work, and boy does he come out nicely. So I haven't really got any updates on the Zen front. As I said in my last video, it's just going to be a bit of a long slog on box rest, waiting for he's got a crack in his hoof, for those who don't know. And it's just going to be a good few months of waiting for that crack to come down his hoof and basically no longer be a crack. I have decided to slightly step back from the in-hand, more dressage type work, and spend a little more time focusing on groundwork and horsemanship, because I think I find it very easy to forget that my more mature horses also really benefit from horsemanship and need that support with managing all their emotions, especially on box rest. So I think it's quite helpful for him just to feel a bit more settled and okay with his new life, which does not suit him at all, poor boy. Obligatory rule aside, because Zen's on box rest, he is still really quite lit up. You can see here he is off a bit and very cheerful. So I want to be sensitive to that, and I quite like starting off our sessions when he's a bit like this, just giving him a bit of freedom to move and to express himself within reason. But what I'll then do is I'll move on to asking very small little questions, just to say to him, okay, I understand your energy's up a bit, but can you tune into me? Are you still calm enough to be aware of what I'm doing and what I'm asking? And then I'll ask more lateral movement and stuff to just say, can you soften through your ribs? Can you get your shoulders opening? And can you do it all in a calm, happy, relaxed way? And as you can see, like, he isn't perfect by any means, but he is actually able to tune and connect to me and find a slightly more calm place to be. Now, the one bit of technique that I want to work on as well, and you can see it here in the rein back, is he tends to drag his feet when I ask him to back up, and the right hind is particularly bad. You see him dragging. So what I'm asking him to do is I'm asking him to step back a bit shorter than he would like to, and I'm just gently tapping that right leg to just say, can you lift it instead of just dragging it? And the main actual long-term solution, that was much better. The main long-term solution to this is more actual forward energy in the rein back, which is easier to do under saddle and once he's stronger. But for now, if I can just get him to think about lifting it, I can just help start reorganizing his thought process and how he moves himself, and starting to gently strengthen that hind a little bit. And that was really nice. In the end, I have decided that today Bella and I are going to do what I call a schooling hack, which is nothing fancy. It's literally schooling her, doing flat work schooling out of the arena in a couple of fields we have. And I really like this, particularly for Bella, who struggles with her balance, both on downhill slopes and pushing uphill. I find it's a really good way to help her start to find that, build the correct muscles, and generally start working a bit better in an environment that's different as well and more open than the arena. So I can basically pick and choose what I want to do, when I want to do, loads of transitions, and just go around this field kind of using all the slopes to our advantage. Here you go. You are such a lady. She was also really quite feral on her ride. Fun fact, we actually have two Bellas, Bella the dog and Bella the horse. I don't know how, Bella the horse came first, but we seem to end up with two Bellas. My dad's actually decided he'd like to do a full session on Scandal, so Scandal's not going to be in this video, very sadly, but that's okay. I think he's been in every single video I've done since I started the channel. So anyway, once I have moved those horses, I will get Dazzle done, and then that's the horses all done for the day. Here are three very big. Oh, Habby, you've just blown on. This is Habby. She's very special, this grey mare, but I'll tell you about it in another video. So Dazzle's very much carrying on from the work that we did in our last video, where I'm starting off by just saying you can go anywhere within the length of the rope and I'm not going to interfere, I'm not going to try and control you, but I'm going to stay as a sort of calm centre of your circle, and if you want to come and be calm with me, then we can be calm and we can have a very nice moment together. And then the idea is he chooses to spend more and more time relaxing with me, which I've very much seen. I'm also continuing to address his relationship to pressure. So using both body language and touch, I'm applying a little pressure in front of him and I'm saying to him, can you tune into the lightest aid? And just like there, can you back up? And all I'm after initially is just a flick of the ear to let me know that he heard me. And then what I'm starting to say is I'm saying, actually, I want you to back up. But it needs to be done with attention and thought, which you can see initially there wasn't happening. He's staring off into the distance. Now sometimes he'll also lean into the pressure and I just persist until I feel him shift his weight backwards and away from the pressure. Similarly there you can see he's not quite in the zone initially, even though he's relaxed. And sometimes he still finds it quite overwhelming and he feels he needs to move, and I'm not going to stop him from doing that. He needs to feel like he's not trapped by pressure. And this way we do genuinely start to get him releasing tension, feeling more comfortable with working with me, and I am seeing good progress. The other really nice thing I'm starting to see is that when he does lose attention and start fixating on things in the distance, which has been a real issue for him, I'm able to bring him back much quicker. There he moves into the pressure, so again I just persist until he moves out of it. And I'm really cautious about keeping my A's as light as possible because I want Dazzle to be really tuned in to the bare minimum and listening to the whisper. If I start shouting at him, he's just going to zone out, he's just going to struggle to work with me, and he's going to feel overwhelmed and go back to being not even in the room. But as you can see here, I'm just working, he's losing attention and I'm just working on saying, can you tune in? Can you think? Like here, he's actually really nicely thinking through the question and then he gives the right answer and I immediately release. I think the rein back is a really good choice for this kind of work because it's very clear to him what the pressure means. A sideways aid is a bit more confusing, whereas just to move away back is very straightforward to him. And as you can see, he actually gets really nicely sensitive to the aids, even when he's a little bit focused on something else. I don't have to ask much at all, and he starts to really nicely move away from my body language. And I think I really am starting to see good progress with him, and I genuinely feel like he's enjoying working with me in a way that he hasn't before. I completely forgot to film an outro, so you're getting a slightly creepy one from me doing evening checks for Zen and Dazzle. I suppose to wrap up the day, really, it's been very nice. It's nice to not... I think sometimes training can get very intense. I often take everything way too seriously, so it was very nice to have a slightly more chilled out, leisurely sort of day. I think a real challenge that I face with my riding, and I think it's something I'm going to be struggling with for quite a long time, is kind of finding the balance between all of the different approaches I have. Because they should in theory be complementary between the horsemanship, the dressage background and competition. In theory, they should be complementary, but I think there's definitely at the moment still days when perhaps I should be leaning more on horsemanship and fundamental, there are gaps in the horse's ability to regulate and find a more calm nervous system state. So, I'm thinking Jimmy and Bella in particular today, and the work I'm doing with Dazzle and Zen, it's all very relevant. And I think it's something, as I've already said in this video, that I often lapse on with the older horses, who in my head, I'm like, oh, they've done all that work, it's fine. But they sometimes need to go back to it. Beyond that, I think as well, it's just about picking my way through and figuring out how it all works with competition. And I think that's something I'm only going to be able to figure out through practice, through messing up constantly. But I mean, that's the beauty, is that I can have a crack and I can have a see, and I've got a lovely group of horses who are very forgiving, and who I do think actually do trust me and are keen participants in the sort of approaches that I take. So I'm not going to ramble on any longer. That's way longer than you guys need to hear about my ongoing challenges. But yeah, it's been a really nice day, and I am very much so looking forward to the next training video, which will, I'm sure, be either right before the competition season starts or it will have already started. So very exciting. Guys, you got to stop this flirting. Zen. Right, good night, boys. Sleep well.